Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Division video. It's the weekend, which of course means it is time for another vendor reset video. A chance for me to tell you guys what is for sale and whether or not any of those items are worth purchasing. So as always, if you guys do enjoy this, you do find it helpful, then a like would be super appreciated. Any questions, drop them down below. Also, just before I dive into the video itself, I want to give you guys a couple of quick updates. First things first, the ETF signups for ATF3 are currently live. I've left a link in the description box down below to the sign up survey. If you guys want to join ATF3, for those of you guys that don't know what it is, ETF is the elite task force, basically on the run up to update 1.7 for the Division. Massive want to invite a group of people, a group of Division players down to the studio. This time they are using Ubisoft Reflections, which is in Newcastle in England. They want to invite you guys down to have a chance to check out kind of an early build of 1.7, give them feedback, and hopefully shape, or sort of help shape, the future of the game. They've done this a couple of times in the past, ETF 1 and 2, and they're doing this once again. So if you guys do want to try and help out, then the sign up form is down below. You don't need to be a YouTuber or a streamer. They typically choose a broad section of people covering different sort of play styles, so solo players, team players, slightly more casual players, more hardcore players, to try and sort of, you know, grab a wider selection of people. But either way, if you want to join, then the sign up is down below. The dates are, I believe, May the 23rd up until May the 26th, something like that, or 27th. The dates and all the information is, of course, on the form. Also, there are patch notes up for PTS2, so if you guys do want to sort of see what's changed since the first week, then I will leave the patch notes in the description box down below. So, there are a couple of things in case you guys missed them from the other day, but now let's turn our attention to the reset. So, first up, starting at the special equipment vendor, usual kind of running through these very quickly. Exotic weapons this week, Centurion, of course, Expert and Cool-Headed, Pakan, Adept, Talented, and of course the main talent. Nothing kind of especially exciting there. Pakan is normally one to watch, obviously on a weekly basis, because if you do have some decent rolls on it, it can be quite a nice LMG to hold on to, but this one is not especially exciting. Cassidy, Brutal, and Ferocious. You also have Liberator with Responsive, Vicious, and Sustained. Not actually too bad, that one. Liberator is always a nice one to consider picking up in case you need a quick and easy M4. And Responsive, given your kind of typical engagement range, is actually something you can get value out of. Vicious, maybe not necessarily your kind of top tier choice, but it's still something you could get some mileage out of. And then Sustained, you can roll that out for something infinitely more useful, and you then actually have a pretty decent weapon. So, something to consider that week. On top of that, you have Historian, Disciplined, Dominant, and History Repeats. As for your high-ends, PX4 Storm Type T, Expert and Trained, MP5 ST, Self-Preserved, Talented, and Hurried. So again, MP5 is a nice model, is a nice SMG. Probably not the best set of talents there. You can get some mileage out of Self-Preserved. In this situation, I would roll out Talented, but that is definitely not a great set of talents, not by SMG standards. So this one is probably not even worth your time for the time being. Military AK-47M, Focused, Brutal, and Talented. Custom MH70 MCS, Trained, Competent, and Self-Preserved. Custom M44, Intense, Unforgiving, and Skilled. And a Black Market RPK-74E, again, Skilled, Ferocious, and Determined. So, nothing really worth talking about there. Again, at a stretch, potentially the Liberator, but by now I'm sure all you guys have got them. It is definitely worth checking your exotics versus the weekly exotics in case they have better rolls. So, that's probably the only thing I might slightly recommend from that list. As for the gear, high ends, of course, typical gear set. Note you guys can check these out yourself, but the high ends, you have a rejuvenated mask, a reckless chest piece, a specialized backpack, definitely a useful one to pick up. That way, if you guys don't necessarily want to spec too heavily into skill power, then you can get some benefit from your firearms and your stamina. You also have knee pads, they're accomplished, and you also have a nimble holster. Again, don't forget that there is the change in the PTS, where nimble is a heal over time now, as opposed to an instant heal, so that is something that's still being tested right now. And of course, in your gloves, you have Savage. Moving on from there to the special blueprints vendor, only things worth talking about here are the usual weapons. Nothing especially exciting, no kind of MP7 or, you know, LVOAC or anything. It is a classic M44 Carbine blueprint, which is still a decent weapon, but probably not something that you guys necessarily need or you already have. And ACR, we've seen this many, many times before, so if you haven't picked it up before, chances are you're not going to pick it up now. So nothing really that great on the blueprint front. Then at the advanced weaponry vendor, you have a tactical M1911 with Expert and Vicious, a tactical UMP45, Brutal, Commanding, and Ambusher, tactical ACR with Fierce, Vicious, and Determined, a custom MH70 MCS with Responsive, Ferocious, and Meticulous, a surplus SVD with Talented, Skilled, and Disciplined, and finally a custom L86A2 with Prepared, Accurate, and Meticulous. Again, same sentiment here, nothing really worth picking up in this list. Then as for the Dark Zone gear vendor, nothing actually worth picking up here, but I do want to use this as a chance to remind you guys to hold off on any extended magazines for the time being. Don't forget that in 1.6.1, the roll for extended magazines is going to be higher. They will roll up to 121%, and the change will not be retroactive. So if you guys have any, say, 110% magazine size, of course they're still useful, but they will not change in 1.6.1. So if you haven't necessarily got them right now, I would just say hold on, because there will be better extended magazines soon. And given that we're in the second week of the PTS already, I would imagine it's probably not going to be too many weeks now until 1.6.1 drops. So yeah, definitely hold on for that, but just keep that in mind. The roll for extended magazines will go up to 121% as max. Then jumping over to the Grindhouse Safe House, there is an enhanced AUG A3P with Deadly, Talented, and Brutal. Now I appreciate the SMGs on the SMG front, of course MP5, MP7 being the more dominant ones, PP19 still typically used more so for PvE. That being said, AUG A3P is still a decent model, so this is actually a pretty nice set of talents. Deadly is of course something that goes very nicely with SMGs. Brutal is of course something you will undoubtedly get mileage from. So Talented is of course a talent here that you would roll out. You can then roll this out for something much more useful in the SMG and actually have a pretty nice set of talents. So as SMGs go and as talent rolls go, this one is actually potentially pretty good. Of course, there is a certain element of RNG in the rerolls, but provided you've got credits, provided you have money, then you can eventually get that to what you need. So if you guys are looking for an SMG and you want one with a decent set of talents, then this is definitely something you could consider. Also not that expensive. Then very quickly jump into the top of the Dark Zone, since all the other Dark Zone safe rooms aren't really that inspiring. So for those of you guys that just want to know what the gear set pieces are, you have a Predator's Mark mask with a dominant stamina roll, skill power, and blind death resistance. Predator's Mark vest with stamina roll, skill haste, all resistance, and increased kill XP. A final measure backpack with skill power and disrupt resistance. A pair of Deadeye knee pads with enemy armor damage, damage to elites, shock resistance, and increased kill XP. A D3 FNC holster with health on it, and finally a pair of D3 FNC gloves with health on kill, crit hit damage, and marksman rifle damage. And that, my friends, is really all there is to it this week. There is basically nothing worth picking up this week, so I'd say just save your money and come back next week. It's kind of annoying that there haven't been any exciting weapons for the past few weeks. I appreciate you're never going to have something good at every single vendor, but for the most part, all the weapons that are on sale, there's not really any point paying attention to them. You can kind of get better luck if you either craft it yourself or just get random drops out in the world. So either way, hopefully at some point in the next few weeks we might get some decent rolls, but for the time being, nothing worth picking up this time round. So main things to pay attention to are of course the ETF sign up if you guys want to get involved in that, and of course the patch notes for the next phase of the 1.6.1 PTS. So for the time being, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, have a good weekend, and take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.